good. We got 3 people in here right now.
We're live now. Yeah. All right, guys, you're our test. Look at that first time our link worked.
Hey, we don't know if the microphones work.
What do you think, guys? Can you hear me okay?
1, 2.
1, 2 from Barry. Are they saying anything? Can you see the comments on there?
I have to go do it on my phone.
Kelsey's tuning it. Pull up your phone. Pull up the link. It's on my Instagram. Just tag it.
I don't follow you, bro.
We are outside of Rock Hill at the Airbnb. Look at our little miniature microphone.
Live chats, bro.
Click and see. Can you not see the comments on the phone? No?
The microphones are working. You're good.
They are working.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're working. The phone is not working anymore. Now we're not good.
Kelsey kicked it off.
Check that little picture.
All right.
That's pro.
We're just getting the questions fired up, so everything's going to be on standby. Kelsey's going to last as long as she can because she's got allergies.
My phone's gonna die, so I can't.
Very
watch this.
miniature.
Mine is delayed though.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
As long as we're going. All right.
What must I do? Just look.
Mate, don't even look at it. It
Yeah.
makes it hard. You'll get distracted. You can just stick it away.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can see
You can see it
it.
now.
He's in here.
All right. So, we haven't really done a podcast for a while because life just gets in the way and it's hard to do everything at once. But we are here at Rock Hill. Joris is someone I've wanted to do one of these podcasts with for some time now. Houston, Oldsmar, we were talking about like pre-recording it, but there's something about doing a live chat that keeps it away from like the interview style. So yeah. Once a year, only this is only my second year, but the owners of Chase Bicycles gets the whole crew together. We get photographers, videographers, team manager, everybody, the whole squad together, and have a kind of a photo shoot, media content, team building, I would like to call it. Puts everybody together. So have myself, we have Joris, we have Isaac, Connor Fields actually flew in today as well. So yeah, the main Chase current
PD
pro
the
team.
Pits?
PD what?
The Pete? You forgot Pete, no? Did you say Pete?
Well, I was just saying team
The
members,
team.
but then we got Pete D, which is going to come in soon. When you guys see, if you don't know Pete, I'm sure you'll recognize him. He has been a long-time face in the sport of BMX. He's a team manager, whatever, many roles under Chase. Pretty much runs the Chase US. Anyways, that's enough introduction. I've really wanted to have Mr. 5-time champ here, Joris, the first guy in history, if you don't know, to ever win 5 pro titles. USA BMX, ABA BMX, whatever you want to call it, American pro titles, which is a huge accomplishment. America. As a Frenchman.
Yep.
As a Frenchman. So, yeah. Joris, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Yeah, no
It's
problem.
amazing.
We'll have questions here soon. It's going to make it, we don't like to have this very scripted, so we're going to leave it up to the fans to start asking questions. So I'll start with, first off, I'll say it's really odd.
really
Do I hold
nasty,
this thing or
yeah.
should I be down here, you know?
I would just hold it like right here. When you're talking into it.
So Joris went in the 5th title. Growing up as a BMXer, you hear so many stories about like pros or just you obviously see history being made. So the fact that we are finally teammates, and I could see I've been there when I've been there behind the starting hill. Come on, team manager stepping in. Pete, turn it down. I've been behind the starting hill, hanging out with you in Tulsa for so many years. I've seen you get, I think almost every one of your titles. Maybe I missed one.
You were the first one.
Yeah. And we've always kind of just hung out. So it was really cool finally being like actual teammates, actual in the same pit, not just sharing a space. And when you came across the finish line, one thing I wanted to do was be there. Like I wanted to be right there and watch you come across the line. And that was pretty special for me, just seeing that raw reaction.
Yeah.
Joris is a very modest, humble guy who doesn't.
Shy guy.
Yeah, he never really lets me know if he's stressed. He's never really lets me know if he's just feeling, man, I'm feeling good. I'm gonna smoke him today. He's always the same attitude, very
Neutral.
very neutral, which is good. I mean, I'm sure that's a huge part of why you won 5 titles, and So for me to sit across the finish line and see you come and that energy that came out of you, I'm very grateful to be able to share that with you. That was cool because I know that will go.
He talks about it a lot.
Yeah,
It was history. Literally,
Yeah.
I was watching. I mean, we all started as a young BMX kid, right? And I saw these magazines, I saw these big pros, and like that was my spot, like in history.
Yeah,
to like,
no, that's true.
dude, that's my dude that just did
Yeah.
that, and you know, yes, that was
Yeah.
cool.
That was
Yeah.
cool. And I remember you were there for the first one too.
Yeah, it was the
Because
very first
I
one.
remember the first one that was just before we moved to Corona.
Yeah.
That was 2015. So, and then I remember going to Paris to train with you a few times before
Yeah.
Grands. And then I remember you being there for the first one, and then for
That's
the
cool.
fifth one. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I assume there was one I missed in there from my years stepping away from Grands.
Yeah, I
but,
don't think you were
So what was your first one? What year was
15.
it?
So
15?
15, 16 you were there too.
Was there?
And then I would say 18, I don't think so.
18 was my first year I stepped away
Yeah,
from racing.
and
for a
then
while, yeah.
21.
And then I was there for 21, and then 22.
No, you were there for
yeah,
21.
I was there
Yeah,
for
true.
21,
Yeah,
22,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that was my first
Yeah,
year,
so you only missed one.
first full year
Yeah,
back, so I
yeah,
missed
yeah.
18. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is cool.
nice. Yeah.
So you
So-
being parts of it.
Yeah. So growing, let's take it way back. We might even go. The plan is to go through this whole, let the whole team speak. But I've really wanted to have this one with Jar, so I really want to hear his story and maybe share it. So, being a young French kid,
guy.
when did you start racing? How old were you?
I started racing. I was 6 years old. So
And never stopped.
never
You
stopped.
start-
Yeah, no, never
Okay.
stopped. I went. I was driving by a BMX track one day, and then I just say I wanted to try it, and then I tried it, and that was pretty good. So just kept going. Yeah, parents always followed me. They always pushed me, and then traveling in an RV, doing all the kids.
You did the whole
yeah,
RV life.
Yeah, RV life
Yeah.
when I was younger.
I never knew that.
Yeah. For I don't know, many years. Yeah. And
Really?
then turned.
That's pretty big in
junior.
Europe, though, right? A lot
Yeah,
of
we
people do
always
that.
like France. We always do that. It's so much easier than going to the hotel and stuff. We
Yeah.
start the races early too, and then it's just also cheaper for a family to travel in an RV. France is so small,
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah, for the American France, it's probably the size of California, I would say.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's like
Good
from
perspective.
one side to another, it's probably like 8 hour driving.
So how long did you just stay in the country of France before you started venturing out? Or was it
Venturing out,
pretty normal just
I
to leave?
probably did maybe 2 years in France, and then start doing like European Championship and then World Championship and stuff like that.
What was it? How old were you for your first one? First World Championship?
My first World Championship would have been France, Valette. It was 99.
Oh,
I
okay.
think so. Yeah.
I think 99 was the year I actually started.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know that one.
99, and then I went to Argentina 2000,
Okay.
then America 2001, Kentucky, Louisville.
Oh, you were at that
Louisville.
one?
Yeah.
Dang, that's cool. I was at that one. That was
Yeah.
my first one.
Yeah.
I wonder if we
was
crossed paths and stayed.
Probably,
You
yeah.
would have been pretty young, but
Yeah, 21, I was 10.
well, back then, yeah,
Yeah.
10 years old would
Yeah.
have been pretty young. I think
Yeah,
I was 14 or 15
Yeah.
at that one. But
So yeah, just travel a little bit there, and then I stopped traveling to those like World Championship for a few years, and then turned junior, and then did the French team stuff, and
okay.
did mostly.
How did it work? Like we obviously have novice, intermediate, expert. I think my NBL days it was beginner, novice, so it was backwards. But yeah, anyways, you have those 3 different classes to kind of step up. How did that work?
We
Did
don't.
you guys-
No, we only have one classes. So
Just age group.
Yeah, so age group.
and it's still like that today, right?
Yeah, it's
Just
still like that.
UCI
Yeah,
rules.
yeah. I think it's 2 age group together, I would say.
Yeah.
So we have names for the category, but let's say it's 10, 11 together, 12, 13 together, 14, 15 together.
wow.
So one year you're young, and then the next year you're the oldest one, because you're 2 years.
Does it go off how UCI is like?
Um,
So it's like I'm a December birthday.
Yeah,
So all
I think
year
it
I'm
goes
the next
through
year.
your birth year, I would say.
Okay,
So from
right,
December
same as
31st to
UCI,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
UCI one probably.
Yeah. Huh.
So yeah, you race with the same guy every time basically, from 7 years old to now, basically.
Yeah. So I guess kind of the same, but
Yeah, we just don't
different
have class. You just it's just whether it's your first race or you already good.
Yeah.
You race with the same guys and
Huh.
yeah.
That's cool.
Well,
yeah, I
so
couldn't
it's-
imagine. It's like you have such a different. You have so many kids in America. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
America
lot
is such
smaller.
a
That's
different
what I'm
thing,
saying, yeah.
right? Yeah, it's
Like-
like you have kids that kind of get out, they get expert
Yeah.
too quick, and it pushes them out. So you have to have those stepping stones. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe because it's just so much bigger.
So
you gotta
much bigger,
have
for
to,
sure,
you have
yeah.
to break it down.
Like I say, I mean, France is the size of California, so it would be like a state race, for us
Yeah.
to be like a French championship.
Yeah, such
So
a
that's
different world.
yeah, it is a different world.
You grew up seeing like magazines. Well, who was your like rider?
I didn't really pay attention too much to those.
Yeah, like the pro guys
Yeah,
and
no,
the-
like the pro guys and stuff. Even like Christophe and Thomas, I was very late that I pay attention to them.
Okay.
I was just doing it for fun until maybe like 17, 18, really.
oh wow.
Yeah. And then when I turned junior, I started to pay attention to like America and the
Yeah.
pros and stuff. But before that, I wasn't really into too much, just doing for fun.
Do you ever remember? Did you ever see Christophe race in person?
Yes.
So for the ones who don't know, Christophe Levesque, an old, not old. He's just old double A. Like when I was a kid, he was he was the Joris of when I was a kid. Won the APA title a few times, and now he's actually the owner of Chase Bicycles, which is our boss today. So that's why I kind of asked that. Also, French rider. So
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I think 99, the World in France in Valette. That was my first
Okay,
race
you
I
was
saw
from
him.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
and
only
then
had
I
that
think
one
he,
race I
yeah,
saw
and I
him.
think he stopped not long after that.
Yeah.
Maybe like 3-4 years after that. I don't really remember when he stopped
okay.
really.
I remember he was racing a race in Daytona, Florida, NBL National, and he's all specialized
I
and
know,
had
he
his
was
Mountain Dew
looking
logos.
good,
like,
yeah.
back when the pros really made some,
Yeah.
some good money,
Yeah.
which was pretty
BMX
crazy.
was pretty big.
I think that was the only time I actually saw him in person. And
Yeah, you never saw him since that. No, you
I
probably
can't think. I'm sure we've crossed paths.
He's not
At
at the race
somewhere, yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
go to the races anymore. I mean, obviously on Chase now, and I haven't even.
Yeah.
We speak, but we haven't even
Don't
seen each
see
other.
him, yeah.
But yeah, it's been many years. So, who was the other one? Then you had
Then Thomas,
Thomas,
yeah.
yeah.
So Thomas rode a little bit longer, I think. I was my first selection in the French team in junior. That was Thomas's last one. 08.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Thomas is your coach.
And then now Thomas is my
Yeah,
coach
that's
for
cool.
lots of years.
Has he been your coach for?
He's been
Through
my
all the
coach
titles and
since-
everything?
No, the beginning, no. I switched coaches in 2013, end of 2013. I went with Thomas.
Okay.
So
Who were you like
almost 10
national
years.
team before that?
No, I was just like a club coach, like
okay.
a
Yeah.
a coach that I grew up with and started with him, and then
Okay.
got my first title with him. And then I moved to America, and then decided to go with Thomas.
Okay. And then you're Americanized.
And then westernized, I think that's what they say.
Western. True.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelsey.
There's a question.
How's our questions, girl?
Question goes.
They're coming to my Kelsey, come in here. Come on, we need help.
We need the question.
Oh, no one's asking. I guess they're just
Oh, no
listening.
question. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
they're just listening. All right, I guess.
We're not
I
too
need-
boring?
I was trying not to even listen because I'm like, if I keep asking questions, someone's like, get to my question. And
my question.
all right, well, where else did we go from there? All right, you were for GT. I remember when you came over here. I think it was Guthrie, Oklahoma.
My first race in America.
Yeah, you were wearing like a skeleton,
Yeah.
like a TLD uniform.
Yeah.
And then you went to GT,
GT,
which was cool. Which was who Thomas rode for,
Thomas
right?
rode
So
for,
that
yeah.
was cool. You were like
Yeah.
the new age Thomas Elliott at the time.
And then Chase Bicycle after that.
World champs. How many world champs do you have now? World champ titles.
So World Champ, I won the World Championship in Cruiser in junior, both years.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
08, 09. And then I won my first World Championship in 2011,
What did you
Copenhagen.
get in junior as class?
Crash.
Both
yeah,
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, all right, so you got two cruiser jerseys.
Two Cruiser.
This is the rainbow jersey
Rainbow
that you
jersey,
see
yeah.
for the world champions.
And then two Elite one, 11 and 16. And then one time trial, 15.
Time trial. Okay.
and then almost a third
Quite
one.
the resume. And then what we talked, I know we talked about it in one of our last vlogs. What was since we're on all these accomplishments, what was the European?
How many European?
Oh, I know it was you just murdered it one
Oh
year, right?
yeah.
How many do you have total?
Like championship or
Yeah.
I won. I think it was 16 out of 16 races in Europe the same year.
How many like you have 5 USA BMX
I
titles?
got
How many European?
2 European.
2 European.
Yeah.
And 1 year you won every single race.
Yeah.
16 rounds.
Yeah.
And took the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when a few other dudes were on their
Yeah.
on their hot
Maris
streak.
came in a few times, and then that was the year where I won the worlds, everything, World Cup, overall.
When did, let's see, what's another one? What's something people don't know or people would want to know? Let's go like, so you started racing in France. How you went to junior? How would you say you got by? Like what was you eventually got to a point where you weren't in school, you got out of school, and you had to decide, we're either getting a job or you're racing bikes. When that time came, were you just like on the national program, or did you have a good sponsor in France, or were you already over here?
No, so
I know a lot of people don't know how that works. You know,
so school and stuff are totally different in France. First, we finish school super late, so we go to school from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. mostly every Monday to Friday. So we train after that. So I stopped school. I finished school in 2010. When I turned pro, basically elite in France, we turned pro in elite.
What like year was that?
It was at 2010.
I mean, I'm sorry. What like we go kindergarten?
Yeah,
first
that's
12.
just
What would that have been?
So 2010, I would be 19.
Okay.
So I don't know what is that.
So we graduated high school at 18.
Yeah,
which
so
is
probably
like
that's
year 12.
So I finished my high school.
Okay.
And then after that, I started to ride pretty good and have a little bit of sponsors. And then I decided to stop school, not go after that.
Like college.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
college.
Yeah.
And then 2011 came, and that's when I started winning the big races. And then
You're still in
France.
Europe,
Yeah. So 2011, signed with GT, and then that's when it all started.
It turned into a job.
Okay. And then
cool.
Then I only came in 2013 in America.
That's when you moved here.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go straight to Corona? Like go straight to California?
We moved to Irvine, so Costa Mesa, Irvine, Huntington Beach and stuff.
Right, yeah.
We spent I think 1 year there, and then we went to Chula. Then we came back to Costa Mesa, then Corona.
You say we? Were you a Tegan?
Tegan, yeah. We moved together from the beginning.
Wow. So you came to America today. Tegan's Jarvis's wife, Tegan, is a former BMXer from South Africa.
Yeah.
And you guys met in Copenhagen, or
we
started hanging out in Copenhagen,
we met
right?
That year, yeah.
I remember those are good off-camera stories that I remember hearing. I wasn't at the party that year, but I remember there was like an ex-boyfriend that was pretty bummed, and George stepped in, put his foot down. Yeah, that's when then swooped her off her feet, huh? Yeah. Yep. So you guys moved to America together?
So we moved together in America. Yeah.
Right.
2013, beginning of 2013, we moved to America together.
Live the dream.
Live the dream, yeah. It's been so good. I mean,
yeah. How many years were you in California before you recently left?
Well, we were in California from the beginning. We never moved from California.
Oh yeah, so 13
to 22.
In the beginning of last year.
Yeah. And then we moved back to France. We still come back here pretty often.
Yeah.
They do like 6 months and 6 months.
Yeah, I feel like I see you
exactly.
Just as much.
Yeah.
You go back and forth.
But yeah, 10 years in California, and then it's basically home. I mean, America, you know.
Yeah. And you still have a lot of ties here. And
we still have ties. I mean, my son is American, so we still have, you know. And I mean, our life basically is here, you know.
Yeah.
10 years, and we moved when we were 21, so it's just, you know.
Yeah. It's a huge part of the story, right?
For sure. No, that's you know, and everybody, they probably think it was so easy and stuff, but it was a hard time, you know. First, my English, you know, it's a different, it's different, you know. Language and culture is different, and moving from my parents to going to America to a different country, you know. So it's just yeah, we had I think 2 years where it was pretty tough, and then after that we started to get things figured out and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
So that's like a good part to lead me into a question that came to mind. So, I feel like it takes the foreigners like a bit of time to adjust. American racing, obviously, so much different. I think European tracks are way more technical, way more fun than tracks here. I think that's why we see so many riders come from Europe and overseas that just can get around the track. There's so many good skill level riders. They might not be the fastest or the most powerful, but it really shows come like world championships when fast American riders make mistakes. And so being such a technical, like I know France obviously has so many like amazing technical tracks, and you would think obviously you got the skill, so an easy track would be simple to ride.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the ABA or USA BMX schedule runs so much different. Like, what would you say? I mean, I know it because I've asked, but from being an American and watching it, it always takes like a top elite a few years to get a hang of the US. And I watched you personally, knowing you're one of the fastest dudes that ride a bike, and it took you a while to really kind of get the hang of. What do you think it is that makes it hard for an outsider to get the hang of BMX racing in America?
Well, I think it's easy when you come just for one race, because you just fly in and then you just do your thing quickly a week and
like a World Cup.
Yeah, like a World Cup or something. But when you move here, and then you, like you said, like the schedule is totally different. I think the first year or first 2 years I raced, we used to like wake up at 7 a.m. or do the practice at 7 a.m. on Sunday. I mean, and I don't think we have a schedule. We were running.
We ran after moto.
Yeah. So it was like 3-hour waits and stuff.
Yeah.
And also the tracks are so different. Like how they made like a double in France. You never pedal on a double in France or in Europe. You push through, you get the speed with
like
the jump.
us getting out of the bottom, starting hill,
exactly.
pedaling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here it's like a lot of pedaling on jumps. Lots of pedaling everywhere. Basically, like more pedaling than in Europe. In Europe, we keep our speed and we gain our speed with the jumps.
Yeah.
Compared to here, and now it's a supercross tracks, but like a small ABS.
Sorry,
track.
there's like a boat going by right now.
Yeah, we're living on the lake.
Yeah, we're just in an Airbnb on the lake with a shore view. No big deal.
Yeah, chase bicycle.
We want to chase.
But yeah, I think that's the main, like the biggest difference. It's a like technique aspect of things, and then how you gain speed and you lose speed, and the pedaling, that's really different for us.
Yeah.
In France you gain so much speed with the jumps, and you use the jumps and the turns to get the speed.
Yeah.
And here you have to pedal to get the speed.
You probably have such an autopilot, like you're sprinting to a first jump, and you don't naturally feel like you want to pedal.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up as an NBL rider, and NBL tracks were always a little bigger. It was the same kind of way. Like, I didn't learn early on to pedal over. I still to the day struggle. Coming up to Grands every year, I'm like, there's gonna be a jump that I got to learn to pedal over when I get there. So yeah, that's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
We all good, babe? Everything's looking good still?
Connor wants to know when you want to.
Does Connor want to come in?
Yeah.
He's itching. He's watching, and he wants to be in here now, huh? This one's going pretty good now.
Yeah. Some people are asking some questions for sure.
Yeah. What do you got?
How many years do you think you have left in you?
How many years I have left in me?
Or is it a surprise?
That's a surprise. No, I don't know. I'm still enjoying it.
End on a high, right? You never really know.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Whenever you feel.
yeah, no, still enjoying it. For sure, the main goal will be the Olympics in 2024 in Paris. And then after that, I don't know. But yeah, still enjoying it. I don't have any plan to get out now.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, not the next
What
week.
else? So Condor's itching. Either he's itching to join the party, or he just wants to go to bed. And
He's tired.
Maybe it's both.
yeah.
I'm getting old, man.
Say hey, everybody. Connor Fields. We haven't seen Connor in a while, so here he is.
In a while, I was at the Grands. I was like,
I know, but it's still USA BMX is. We race so consistent. I don't know where we're gonna go with it. Now I'm kind of feeling we get Pete, we got Isaac. We're gonna do a podcast every night while we're here, like do some post racing podcast. Maybe we'll save it. We'll save it for some po race.
Yeah.
Connor, pull up a seat. Yeah. That was good. I liked hearing that.
That was good
That's
stuff.
even parts that I didn't really know.
You don't know anything.
I know. I didn't plan on it. I didn't plan on it going so well and just flowing into
And it's flowing,
things. So I was like, oh, we'll do a couple minutes. Even you walked in, and was like, oh, I'll be done in 5 minutes. So what are we at right now?
That's why I was waiting. I was like, he's like, oh, I'll be 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
then like 20 minutes. Yeah.
25, yeah.
I was like, is
We're just flowing, yeah.
I don't know how
We're-
do you see the question?
I don't know. I think she's got it.
How do these mics work? Do I have to do that?
It's this very little Max. Yeah, they actually do pretty. You can just hold them right here. They're pretty good.
Cool.
Jarvis was tapping a few times on the table.
Did I?
But, yeah, it's just autopilot. But yeah, no, just talking to normal. You're good. It just I don't know how squeaky that is for everybody, but I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying not to do that. So.
I'm just gonna sit right here. I'm not gonna touch anything. I'm not gonna move.
Yeah, no, you can do it like that. It's good. We start leaning on the table. Anyways, all right. Thanks, Jarvis. We'll have to we'll pick up another one after you two boys podium tomorrow. We'll do a recap and hear how our day went.
Sounds good.
All right. Connor Fields, what's going on? Connor is obviously not racing with us, but he's the Chase ambassador. Still big name in the sport, obviously, and he's here with us, hanging out. You said is your first race since Grand? So you've been at least.
Yeah.
Haven't
There's
really
only been
seen
2.
about it.
It's
Yeah,
been Houston
exactly.
and Oldsmar.
I feel like we're full season though, so
Yeah.
it's like you just get right back
Like
into
the
it, right?
the Grands was only like 4 months ago, but it feels like last year, like 2 years ago
yeah,
at this
right.
point. Yeah.
Even 2 races in, I feel like
Yeah.
everything just as soon as you get into it, our off seasons are too short, and what's up, Coach? Off seasons are too short, and then you get right back into the flow of things, and yeah, back-to-back weekends. After here, we go 2 weeks, or I've been in Rock Hill for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks at home, 2 weeks in Tulsa before that race, and EMAX, living the dream. So, Connor, what are you doing right now? Not training. How's life? What's it like not having to perform at your highest level at every single event you go to? And yeah, Philip, what's new?
Man, that's I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nice not being worried about my sprint times all
Yeah, I
the time.
bet.
Like
Yeah.
there's like, and you can kind of relate to this as well when you transitioned out of being pro and you took a little break, you stepped away for a minute. Like when you're expecting just within yourself, not even with the other people or what the fans or your sponsors expect, like just deep down you expect yourself to reach a certain level. And I was at the point where anything short of a win or a championship was kind of a bust.
Yeah.
And so it was every single day was just a high level of intensity and pressure that I put on myself. And I didn't really realize it, I guess, because I lived it for 12 years.
Yeah.
And then when it was done, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's parts of it you miss for sure. But at the same time, it's nice not having to worry about every single little detail all the time.
Yeah.
And worry about oh, I shouldn't have dessert today, because I would literally think to myself, is Joris eating dessert today?
Yeah.
You know, and so now it's like I can get dessert. I'll just
Right.
do an extra set
You
at the
don't
gym
have to worry-
tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I mean, that 12 years would have gone by. Dude, I mean, that 12 years went by fast. I remember when you stepped into the program, and you were just the new hot face and the next dude to potentially get a gold medal in the future, and here it is. So 12 years, we got 3 USA BMX titles, 5 national titles, American titles. That's with the
sleeve.
American flag sleeve that you guys see. Obviously, Olympic gold medal, which is huge. How many world time trials is it?
2 World Cup series and then
two, yeah.
2 time trial world titles. And I whole shot at 2 world championship mains, but I could never bring that one across the finish line.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
Like even in other disciplines, you see that so much. You
Gwen-
see
like
dudes-
Gwen.
Yeah, Aaron's prime example. He gets so many World Cup overalls and all these other titles, but just that one World Championship is just always that one race
Yeah.
that anything can happen. There's always either the dude you expect or like, whoa, that dude won. You know? Yeah.
I think
just, that
too,
was a war.
it's looking back at it, you really only get, if you have a long career, you get 8, 9, 10 chances at it maybe. And the first 1 or 2, you're young, so
Yeah.
you're kind of figuring it out. And then depending on how long that athlete goes, the last couple they might kind of be past their prime. So you really only have like a handful, and all it takes is one hit gate, one mistake, and that whole race is done.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas like in a season long championship, you can give yourself a little bit more buffer. Like in a World Cup series, I remember the first one I won, I just needed to make the main at the last round.
Oh, okay.
So there wasn't the extreme pressure at that single
Yeah.
race. Or like Joris last year, he won the title. He didn't win the Grands because he didn't need to because he had done the work throughout the season.
Right.
But with the Worlds or the Olympics or even the National Championships, USA Cycling, it's a one-day race.
Yeah.
And you only have a couple tries at it.
Yeah.
And if you mess it up, you got to wait another year to
Right.
try it again.
Yeah.
So it's just different element of pressure. And, you know, people have asked, like, which one is harder to win? I think they're both hard, just different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the one-day event is really hard to win because you can't put a toe out of line.
Yeah.
But then the season-long one is hard because you have to be good all year long.
Yeah. That's always what I struggle with because obviously I have so many distractions on everything. When it was always one race that I really cared about, it was easy to get motivated and like, I'll take the chance, I'll risk it for this one. But it's the whole year of like, oh man, I was just get burnt out with all the other crap that I did, right? And that's the biggest thing last year is like, you know what? Let's just give it 11 months. Let's just see what we can do. Let's see if we can stay consistent for 11 months. And I remember I got like 4 months. I got to April last year, and I was like, oh, man, this is... But I started to understand. I'm like, this is tough. It's like just sticking. Obviously, it's such a different class and a different level, but it's still like to
Same
stay
mindset.
consistent. Yeah, and be in that mindset. It was, I mean, I learned so much about myself that last year, and it was just about proving that, right? But God, that just goes so far. Is like how much it takes to make it work for a full year. You can come in hot, right? There's always someone that comes in like, oh, got a couple wins at the beginning of the year, and then slowly in the year, you don't really see him.
And it sounds kind of bad, but like, you know, when you'd been around the sport for a long time, you know those people. And they come in hot and they have a good race or two, and you're like, oh, it's all right, they won't be there at the end. Like, you just know that, right?
Yeah.
And then you know the riders who can show up and just get it done once. But, you know, it's interesting to talk with Joris and Isaac. They're at opposite ends of their career.
Yeah.
Right? And I've known Isaac since he was 16 years old. He showed up at my house. I didn't know him. He showed up at my house and came to the Salt Lake Nationals with me and raced A-Pro.
Oh, wow, okay.
We were training with the same coach at the time, and he's like, oh, I got this kid who's going to come train with you. So I've literally seen Isaac since the first time he came to America.
That's how you met. Okay.
That's how we met.
I never knew that. That's cool.
2017.
Yeah.
And, you know, watching him get to where he is now, but he's at an opposite end of the spectrum of where Joris is. Right? So we'll start with Joris. Like, when I was competing against him, it was hard for me, not that I didn't have respect for him, because I did, but I couldn't let myself think about how good he was.
Yeah,
because I'm like, I'm trying to beat this guy, so I can't think about how good he is. But, you know, I'm a year younger than him. So he's been racing for the same amount of time as me, plus a year on the front end and now a year on the back end since I retired. So he's been doing it 14 years now as a professional.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect that he still gets up every morning and does the job. Because I knew last handful of years of my career, there was days where I was like, another day of sprints. Sprint number 856,000 that I'm doing. Right, but now
for the same race in Texas that we're going to next week.
On this track that I know I hate. I'm like, you know, I really don't want to go, but you know, it
not to pick on Texas. That was just a random comment, right?
But it, you know, just became work, right? But then talking to Isaac a little bit about it, and I've been around, you know, watching him progress, and I like to think that I've helped him a lot. But one thing we always would talk about is winning is boring, right? And what I mean by that is not crossing the finish line and winning is awesome. That's not boring. But getting to the point of winning is boring. It's doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're not ever making it feel special or making it different. You're just doing the basics correct over and over and over again. So winning is amazing, but the process to get there can be boring.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's starting to understand that. We were just talking about his strategy tomorrow. I just said, hey, what's your plan tomorrow? We were talking about it, and he's like, yep, just one lap at a time, lips and landings. Cover your lines, you know, and it's just like, and I could hear it in his voice. It's like it's getting to that point where it's just, you know, go to work.
Yeah.
And it's still fun. Don't get me wrong. You enjoy it, but it's just a process.
Yeah.
And just doing the same thing over.
You gotta learn to enjoy that process, right? And see the build from it, and it can just even not even doing the right process, just doing the same thing over and over. I mean, he's the young gun that's a foreigner. We just went into a long topic about the foreigner, so he's got so much fire to come in, and it's gonna be cool to see what. Now, obviously, there's other riders he's got some fire with, and there's tension.
Really, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, and so that's kind of cool to watch. But the sport needs that. You know, the sport is. It's so. I mean, how much different is it when like when you and I were traveling together and how gnarly the tracks were, and
You
not that
couldn't race
everybody
each other. You just had to try to survive
yeah,
the track.
yeah. So it's such a different style of racing now. The tracks are not more simple. I mean, they're simpler, but people showing up now. Like when did we grow up? Like you show up a
well,
week
they used
before
to.
the
They
race.
used to at
you
the
know?
World Cups. They used to shut the tracks down for 10 days before the race.
Yeah, we couldn't touch it.
You couldn't
until
ride
like Thursday.
You couldn't
Yeah.
ride until official practice.
Yeah.
And now, I'm gonna go on my soapbox for a second. Back in my day, old man style. I think that's
It
how it
only
should
gets
be.
worse.
I think that's how
Yeah,
it should
no.
be because it's not fair to those who have the ability, whether it's financially or their country funds them, to go and spend the extra time.
Yeah.
Because people that just show up or don't have the money to go and stay 3 weeks before at this location, they're starting off already a step down.
Right.
Because
yeah.
they're trying to figure out the track while these people have figured it out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And there is still one race where everybody has the exact same amount of time on the track.
Greatest race on earth.
Oh, well, I was gonna say
What
I
do
guess
you
there's
say?
two.
Where?
The two biggest races, the two
Wor-
coolest
wor-
races, the
world
Olympics.
champs. Oh,
The
Olympics too. Yeah.
You show up
I'm
at the
thinking-
Olympics, everybody has
You're
the
right,
exact
sorry.
same amount of time on the track. You show up at the Grands, everybody has the exact same
Well, you
amount
did
of time
go
on
the
the track.
year before there too, though. At least you kind of have a prep.
Not
time,
once
right?
not once has the track ever been the same. You rode London.
You're right. Yeah.
You rode
London
Rio.
and Rio. They both changed.
And Tokyo they changed too.
Yeah, and then we were both too young for Beijing.
Yeah.
Huh?
So not once has it been the same.
You're right. It
I didn't
hasn't
even
been the
go
same. I
to
forgot all
Tokyo.
about that.
And me and Joris. I don't know if Joris.
For the test event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were both up for the USA BMX title. And we're like, I'm not going to go spend this time. They're going to change the track anyway by next year.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So we're just
I
gonna
didn't
lock
think
in on
about It's never been the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Olympics, it's such a different element, right? It's like, obviously wasn't there, but how do you compare that? At the end of the day, it's just another BMX race, right? You push up that hill,
It's 8 dudes.
you get on your bike with 7 other dudes, yeah, and you pedal as fast as you can down that big ass hill, like.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've been there on both ends. You've been there with just make the main and not leaving with a medal, and then you went in and obviously you took on the best
I actually
one.
think I'm the only Olympic athlete in history who has both won the Olympics and nearly died at the Olympics.
That's a good,
The
good stat to
the
have.
literal range of
Yeah.
like the good to the bad outcomes.
Well, I actually
yeah.
didn't even think about that. I was thinking more of your first
London.
appearance at London and then Rio winning.
Uh-huh.
I kind of just left Tokyo out. Obviously, you're.
Wouldn't have minded
on
just a
in the
fourth,
right
or a fourth
direction.
or a fifth or something in Tokyo. That would have
I'm
been
sure
cool.
you wouldn't have minded anything besides what actually happened. How was how do you compare? How did you compare your first Olympic Games to your second Olympic Games?
So I actually, interesting story here. I was actually a part of a study that Team USA did because it is a very common occurrence for athletes to, I don't know if the term is choke or blow it or whatever you want to call it, but struggle at their first games and then correct those mistakes and do well at their second. So I was part of a study because they were trying to figure out what can they do to better prepare athletes for their first games to avoid having to go through that. Or for different sports like a gymnastics where most of the time people only get one shot, what can Team USA do to better prepare the athletes to avoid having that initial kind of mistake or having to learn the hard way?
Yeah.
There really isn't anything like it, right? So like I've raced everything, World Championships, World Cups, USA BMX, nothing compares to that. And there's really nothing that can prepare you for it other than just kind of doing it. And I actually think it's really interesting. I know the men's a lot better than the women's, but looking at the men's, obviously in 08 in Beijing, everybody was a first timer. So it was a level playing field, right? Who got the job done in 2012? Maris.
Yeah.
Okay. Who blew it in 2012? I did.
Okay.
Gate number one.
Yeah.
First seed in the main. I blew it.
Yeah.
Flipped to 2016. I got the job
Maris
done.
Maris would have been able to look at that as just another World Cup because
He's been there.
No one's been on that stage.
No one's done it.
Talking about Beijing,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
obviously it's Olympics, but there's, like you said, no one's experienced Olympics, so it's new for everybody. Everyone's on the same
Right.
hype. Like whether he choked at his own performance level, not choked, but if he's coming out at a 10 out of 10 and he got an 8, but everyone else it was a 7.
7 or whatever it was,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
And then you go to Rio, right, where I win. Nick Kimmon was in the main, and he didn't get a medal.
Blew it. Yeah.
And then in 2020 or 2021, Nick got it. So looking ahead, the person who's going to win the next one might have been the person that was in the main event and didn't win. And
who's lane 1 in Tokyo?
Joris.
Okay. Well, hey, that's
And that
I
was
like
his
those.
first main. That was his
That's
first
good.
main.
Yeah,
at the
that's
Olympics.
true.
So it's a trend of seeing somebody's got to kind of go through it before they get the job done.
Yeah. I like the picture we just painted right
Yeah.
there. You know, that'd be a cool one to see, and especially after the last one for me, that was like kind of such a random one. So that was cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad you painted that picture pretty well.
It's
That's pretty cool to
interesting.
see.
And
Yeah.
I tried to, it took me a long time to forgive myself for what happened in London. Right, 19 years old. I hadn't won a USA BMX race at that point.
At before London. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well,
And I was sitting in lane 1 at the Olympic final.
how many World Cups have you won by that point?
I'd won 3 at that point.
Okay. Yeah.
But I had never won a title or championship of any kind. I'd never really been in that type of moment.
Yeah.
And nothing can prepare you for it like being there.
What can you like? How can you? I know it's hard to put in words. Like how do you describe it different from standing? I mean, it's the same hill as a World Cup, right? But would it be the crowd, just the energy that's coming from that crowd, the different cameras in your face, and I'm lost with words because I'm trying to paint a picture on the
What it's
difference.
like. So yeah, I mean, visually it looks different. They put more into the presentation of the track and of the facility and the cameras and that. But at the same time, I raced Tokyo where there's no fans. It was empty.
Right.
And it was dead quiet in there, but it still felt the same. And so what it really, I think, is you know what it means.
Yeah.
And for most athletes, by the time they get to the Olympics, not to say that UCI World Cups or USBMX doesn't matter, because it does, and people care, but I can tell you I would trade every single win I ever had for that Olympic gold medal.
Yeah.
If I could, I would take that one over everything else combined.
Yeah.
So when you know what it means, and you also realize, like, this might not be at the forefront of your mind, but you realize, like, there isn't another one of these next month, or even next year.
Yeah.
This might be the only shot I get, my whole life, at this.
To get this medal.
And depending on what country you're from, this can truly change the trajectory of your life. Look at Mariana, look at Maris, look at different people from around the world in different countries, and how it completely changed their life.
Yeah.
And even just for myself, like, it changed my life, not in the same financial way that maybe it changed it for Maris or for Mariana, but like, I'll be able to put on my resume for the rest of my life.
Yeah, the big gold medals.
And that means something.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just when you know that and you know what's on the line.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's no people in the stands. It doesn't matter if the track has no hay bales. It doesn't matter. It's just knowing what that means.
Yeah.
Is what's hard.
Damn. Yeah.
And knowing, like,
it's wild.
I've done 500,000 starts in my career, and none of them really matter anymore except for this, this one. This one matters.
I hope all of them worked up to this. Needs to be the good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's another interesting one. I don't know as much about Tokyo. Obviously, I don't like going back and watching those races very much. But if you look at the mains in, like, Rio and London and Beijing, a number of riders hit the gate. Like,
really?
Significantly more than a typical main event.
Oh, in that main event, a lot of people hit the gate.
Or hit the gate, or were late, or just some sort of mistakes.
Yeah.
Or, like, Sam cased the first jump. Like, he didn't case first jumps.
Oh, Rio.
In Rio.
Yeah, okay.
Joris sliding out in the turn. Like, he never slides out.
Yeah.
But just because of what it is, it just heightens that pressure so much.
Right.
And it makes it so hard. Liam in London was winning. And nosed it over the first jump.
Yeah.
Just people making mistakes they wouldn't normally make because of what it means.
Everything it's onto it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a wild one. Obviously, never got to experience it, but it was. Just watching it. I mean, it's such a different vibe, and you say you don't like to watch it. Obviously, we had a huge crash. You don't like to see your crash or anything about that day.
I went back and I watched all of it.
Yeah.
And it's obviously
you only
around.
Need to see it once, right?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I'm not gonna just, like, on a Tuesday morning as I drink my coffee go and watch the Tokyo racing.
Yeah, right.
It's hard for me to watch that main event because there's an empty gate in there. Because I made the main. Right. And I made the main from an ambulance. And of course the more important thing is that I'm okay. I made it for recovery. I'm alive. Right. But it's hard knowing that I did 5 years of work, and the last second I couldn't finish. And so it's just the unknown, right? Like, maybe I win, maybe I get third, maybe I get fifth. Yeah. But at least you know.
Yeah.
and you got to finish and close the chapter, right? I did all that work. I was so close. I had a chance. You never know what could have happened, right? But I would have been in the gate with a chance.
Yeah.
And if you're in the main event, you got a shot.
Yeah.
That hurts. And then as well as like, I didn't ever get to decide like, all right, this is gonna be my last lap. Like, it's my last race. I'm done, and like enjoy it. And it was, kind of taken away. So it's not like fun to go back and look at. Yeah. But then at the same time, when I get sad, I think about the fact of like, it could have been so much worse.
Yeah, right.
And like, I'm going to go ride with you guys on Sunday and Monday and throw whips, and I'll ride the big hill in the first jump and just have a ball riding my bike.
Right.
And it's so much easier to stay positive when I think about the fact that I can go ride for fun. Yeah. And I can go.
You can still do it.
Yeah. And, sure, it didn't have a fairy tale ending, but at the end of the day, I still got to, live my life.
Yeah. It was heartbreaking for all of us, man. I mean, obviously it was on live TV, right? I mean, it's not funny, right? But it's just like, man, like everyone saw it, and you can see it in the body language how intense that actually was. And obviously you hear the stories and knowing the right people, it's like, yeah, people don't really know how intense all that really was. So yeah, it's definitely just to have you across here is a blessing in itself, and that you can ride it's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, and I mean,
you're still a part of everything. And
at the end, I was really appreciative of Chase and all my partners and Monster and everybody. Like, they were all really cool about everything. They said, take your time, get healed up, let us know what you want to do. And it was a whole year between I had 6 months of brain rehab, and then I had shoulder reconstruction, and then I started riding again a little bit. And at the 1 year mark, I had my follow up with the head doctor, and they're basically like, look, you've made a full recovery, but if you hit your head again, like, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And
because that was your second pretty gnarly hit, right?
And the Florida one, I had a seizure, right? Yeah. And when I had that one happen, I said to myself, like, if I hit my head again, like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that again. And really what it came down to was, I'm not going to wrap myself in a bubble and not live my life and not enjoy my life. But bombing down an 8-meter hill and trying to win the Olympics again, like, that might be a little bit too far outside. So I still ride and snowboard and mountain bike, and I'm going to live my life. But, when I'm snowboarding, maybe I won't jump that jump that I would have jumped before.
Right, yeah.
Or if I'm riding, maybe I'll stay off the pro set, and I'll just I'll just have fun with it. But, there's a big world out there. BMX is awesome. It was my whole life for a lot of years. But when you go through something like that, when your brain doesn't work properly, when you wonder every day, am I going to be okay? You learn a whole new appreciation just for waking up in the morning and doing different things.
Yeah.
But it's cool because now I get to enjoy BMX from a different way, a different angle that I never got to enjoy it from before, right? Whether that's coaching and helping riders at clinics or coaching athletes that I'm working with, all the way to designing, my grips. And then I've got the program where we're paying athletes for earning podiums, and it's just really fun to enjoy it from a different angle versus just, trying to improve my kink time and win the next race.
Yeah. Repetitive gates. So 10 feet away. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, so what's next for it? Like, what's on the radar? What's obviously you're still brand ambassador with Chase Bicycles. You're still riding, still doing they're still wearing the brands. Like, what do you see like the next year or two, or what's next goal?
Yeah, I think
athletes have it, right?
That's a good question, right? And for me, it was always really easy, because the goal was always obvious. You know exactly what you're going for. Yeah. What I've decided to do is allow myself to take a bit of a deep breath and not force myself to go straight into an immediate other goal. Like, I know I'm going to need something, figure out what that is, right? Yeah. But I don't want to just pick something because I need that hole to be filled now. I'm going to give myself a year or two to just kind of explore some options, look around, see what's going on, see what I want to do, what makes me happy, what do I care about, and then go after that.
Yeah.
But with that said, I think I'll always be involved with the sport of BMX and with Chase in some capacity. Yeah. I was there when we named the brand.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of pride and ownership for what the brand has become, right? And obviously it wasn't only me, and it was Pete and Christoph and Joris and now you and Isaac, and it's not only me, but
it did start with just you as a young kid, and they just knew. And
I'm proud of that, and I enjoy being a part of it. I don't think I will ever, 100% completely just leave BMX. They'll always be involved in some capacity.
Yeah.
Whether it's with Chase or teaching clinics or working with USA Cycling or working with USA BMX or things like that. I mean, for example, I was working with USA BMX on some of their pro stuff this year. Have you seen the champagne on the podiums?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Recently,
an example
that's
of something like that, or the pro points, or different things like that I've been helping them kind of navigate and figure out how to change, because they've been the same for 40 years,
Right.
and and different things like that. Transponders. I think next year you're going to see lap times are going to be the gate picks and no longer going to be based off of what semi.
Yeah, like World Cups are
Like
done,
World
right?
Cups.
Yeah.
Just different things like that, because they're not as tuned into the elite side because they're focused on holding their events and doing their thing.
Yeah.
So I've been
The
kind of
real money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been working with them a little bit and trying to help them, and it's been really fun to
Yeah.
kind of help them
That's cool.
and work on that from a different side.
Yeah, I feel I've had this kind of conversation a lot lately about exiting the sport, and like so many people exit the sport, but we have master degrees in BMX racing, so it's like why step away? So it's good to hear you're going to stay around for it, and you don't really have a plan to do. I mean, obviously you're going to have a plan. We got to do something, but yeah, I put myself in those shoes. I'm like, man, I just can't really see myself doing something else. And I understood after stepping away from it for a while, definitely I brought back a lot of appreciation to it. Now I'm like, man, this is such a different sport from so much, and we got our lives into it. Like, why step away and go sit at a desk?
Right. Well, and I think you and I, like, if you think back to, for those who don't know, I mean, Barry and I used to train at Chula Vista together in 2009, 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Think about the riders that we were training with, the Donnie Robinsons, the Mike Days, Mark Willers, riders like that who are all accomplished, great riders and have so much knowledge and so much that they could, contribute. And it's up to them. They choose not to do it, right?
Yeah.
There's a spot for them if they want to come back.
Right.
But I just think exactly what you said. Like, they've got 25 years of this information. And whether it's BMX or it's another sport, I always think to myself, like, when I snowboard, I enjoy snowboarding. The way I see that mountain in the snow and what's going on, I would love to see that through Shaun White's eyes. What does he see?
Right, yeah.
What does he see with that snow?
Yeah.
Or watch a football game through Bill Belichick or Tom Brady's eyes? Like, what do you guys see when you watch a football game? Because we're watching the same thing, but you see it totally different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Whereas you and I could watch a race, and we see it so much different than 99.9% of everybody else. You can see what's coming. You can see this rider's making this mistake. This rider's really good at that. Like, you just can see it.
You know what's going on the other end of the straightaway,
You
right?
can almost have a little crystal ball. Like, you know what's coming. And it's like such a like a master's level skill. And why wouldn't you want to use it?
Yeah.
I love
know,
coaching.
get it back, yeah.
And, I was helping Isaac at the Grands last year. And I just remember I was, like, studying the other riders. And, like, I could pretty much predict what was going to happen before it happened.
Right.
And it was correct.
Yeah.
Like, I knew exactly, what was going to happen just because you have that depth of information.
Yeah. It's funny when you step away. I caught myself doing that with a few, but just conversations. And I really, not being in the elite level, I really try to open myself and just communicate with more of the riders and just, hey, how you doing? Like, ones that I don't even have like close friendships with, and just ask. And I caught myself a lot thinking, oh, that's
you
we
can
know
see it
we
in
know
his
where
eyes.
this way.
You
Yeah,
can see it in his
you
eyes.
can see it, but seeing it from this side of not being on the gate with them and your own. Obviously, I was in my own tunnel vision, but it's just so different. Like not getting on the gate with you, and I can kind of analyze you, I can talk to you. And that's been such a fun part.
Yeah,
just
totally.
To kind of learn, talking to Isaac and learn, just seeing how his brain processes stuff. And
yeah, well, it's funny too, like watching, so you and I, like, we watch obviously Isaac and Cam Wood. They're battling.
yeah,
We can see it clear as day what's coming. This is the next 10 years.
right.
We can see it clear as day. We can see
Yeah.
even before it happened. 2-3 years ago, we could all see this coming,
Yeah.
right? Because you're looking at the ages, you're looking at what's going on. Joris will do another year or two, and he's getting older, and at some point, Father Time's undefeated,
Yeah.
and they're going to be the next two guys that are going to kind of replace the me and Joris.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we know what's coming, and we could see it a mile away, and then you just get to enjoy it now because
Yeah.
at least I do. Joris isn't enjoying it quite so much as much. I don't think, but
He's still in the driver's seat, right? Yeah.
I get to enjoy it, and you can see it coming. You can watch them. Every race is living and dying. I mean,
Yeah.
every race is the end of the world if they win or if they lose. And
I know.
and
There's no day 2. There's no race next weekend. And
they don't understand the way that we will after all these years. Like, I think I made. I had 100 and something podiums, right? I probably made like 140 mains, right? So they blur, and that's only USA BMX. That's not even including UCI stuff or USA Cycling or anything else. But like, you have so many one day.
I know.
Really, you won't even remember. I mean, there's races. I'm sure you too. Like probably races you won that you like have no memory of.
Yeah.
You see the check on the wall or the trophy or whatever. You're like, I can't remember that one.
Yeah.
And that
Well, I don't
sounds.
have 100 mains. I got a handful of my AA wins, so I remember them pretty well. But I know what you're saying. There's plenty of them that I
Joris
don't.
has over 50 wins.
I know, it's insane.
And I think I have 40.
You would
and
remember
it's like,
all of them.
I don't remember all of them.
Yeah.
I remember a few like special ones. Maybe I made a pass or something good happens or first one in a while. But
Yeah.
plenty
Just
of
get to a point where that's all you expect anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like anything else. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's wild. Let me see if we got questions. Babe, we got questions for Condor? Kels. Hey, Kelsey, can you come in the other room? I don't want to leave anyone hanging if they're asking questions. Hold tight. Hey. We got
Now
questions?
be a good time to drop some questions if you guys have any.
Yeah. They're just listening? Oh.
Hit us with some questions. I've got a question for you, Barry.
All right, let's hear it.
All right,
Kelsey, come out if you have any good ones. I just don't want to leave you guys hanging too. That's why we do it live, you know.
I have like a delay, so when I'm watching and you ask me something, I don't hear it right away.
Oh, okay. Well, Connor's got one for me, and then we'll get into. I just don't want to leave anyone out if they want to ask Connor something. But after mine.
I actually have two questions for you.
All right.
Okay, so I'll do the first question. One thing that I'm gonna start with a statement. I'll turn it into a question. One thing that I wish BMX did a better job of is celebrating its history. Right. Mm-hmm. Who is one rider that the riders that are all watching and listening to this, who's one person that they should go look up and watch some videos of that maybe they've never heard of, or somebody that was from a previous generation that they should look up?
Oh, that'd be good. I mean, that kind of goes into my previous conversation with Joris, Christoph Levesque, the owner of Chase. And then those riders were such powerhouses, small hills, so many kids that only know these big 5 meter and 8 meter hills now. And just seeing the different style of riding back then. Then you have another French rider, Thomas Hellier, who
Joris's coach,
yeah. With tall, skinny guy, kind of like the build like Joris, very smooth, and just two completely different styles of riders. I think those are just two dudes I really looked up to. As those other guys that were like those are the footsteps I want to walk into. And but pure racers, I think those are two to look at. You got the powerhouse and you got the skillful Thomas. Anything older, I don't know. They can really dig too deep into YouTube.
And the one that comes to my mind, so obviously you're a handful of years older than me. So growing up, you watched Christoph and you watched Tomas, right? I started racing BMX in 2001, I think. Okay. So when I started, they were kind of at the end. Right. Yeah. So when I was growing up, it was Kyle Bennett.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into. Kyle and Maris were my next two. Another powerhouse and then another skill. Yep. But yeah, go on.
Those are the guys I grew up with Kyle Bennett and Mike Day. Those are the guys that and another one is real quiet. He just got inducted in the Hall of Fame, but his name doesn't get thrown around as much. But I was a huge Randy Stumpfhauser fan.
Oh, yeah.
And he's so underrated because he was on the podium every weekend.
Yeah.
And he didn't win all the championships, but he was second or third in all the championships. And he just made a career of doing that and was pro cruiser, pro open.
Yeah.
He just, he raced.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Randy as well.
Yeah.
He was another. I'm glad you brought him up because, he wasn't. I mean, I loved his image. I loved everything about Randy. He was another short dude, so I related to him just being a short guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Stumpy.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought him up because, he's such a staple. He should be in the Hall of Fame, Like Connor said he just got put in the Hall of Fame.
I watched his speech, and I actually sent him a text.
Cool.
And he did something I'll never forget. I had a really bad crash in 2009 in DeSoto, and I had internal bleeding. And he wrote a handwritten letter. I was a junior elite. He had no reason to do this. We weren't even friends. He wrote me a letter and he said, I was in the gate when you crashed, and I was really sad to see it because I think you're really talented. You know, keep working hard, and you've got a bright future
that's
ahead of
cool.
you.
Yeah.
And I have that letter today. I still have that letter.
Sick.
And I sent him a photo of it. And I said, congrats on your Hall of Fame induction. You know, you're a great racer, but an even better person. You know, thank you for inspiring me.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had a cool moment.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so I was really happy for him to do that. But that's something I'll never forget. And I've actually written letters to 10 kids.
Yeah.
Just trying to pay it forward because I know how much it meant to me.
That's cool, yeah.
So second question for you. So you kind of split generations, and what I mean by that is when you were coming up and you were starting racing pro, you were racing against the Kyle Bennett, Mike Day, Donnie Robinson era, Randy Stumpfhauser, and then I don't know if you read the article that I wrote for 15 BMX about.
I know of it.
Yep.
I just don't read anything.
Yep.
That's my Alabama education coming out. Like, Kelsey, can you read this?
So to summarize it, basically, I was just talking about how there was a whole generation, and then when Joris's year, which is 1991, and my year, 1992, moved up to elite, we basically pushed everybody out, and only 2 riders born after our year won a championship for the next 13 years to this day. Only Neek and Simon have won championships. That's Worlds, World Cup, USA BMX, or Olympics that were younger than us. Nobody else.
Oh, no way.
Nobody else.
Oh, cool.
So
Man,
everybody,
that's a wild one.
so everybody, Joris, Sam Willoughby, Yelly Van Gorkum, myself, Sylvan Andre, Corbin Schraw, Twan Van Gant, Torin Ihog, Anthony Dean, we're all the same age.
Oh, wow.
And so we kind of basically came in and ushered out the older gen, and then now the next gen's coming. That's the Kai White, Isaac, Cam Wood generation. But you split too. You raced the older gen, and then you raced the Sams and Joris's and myself. So my question is for you: was there one rider that you always remember, like you didn't want them in your moto, or they were like the hardest person that you ever raced, or somebody that you just thought of as, you know, the one person that you really hated going up against?
You know, I think mine was always, it was probably more ego-based. I would always have the guy that you just, you know, we all have it. There's just that one dude you don't want to beat you. You know, I don't think I ever really had that one of, I don't want to race this guy. I was always just really grateful to be a pro BMXer. You know, I mean, my real BMX idols were never the guys who won championships. So I always have such a different view.
So who was that guy?
Robbie Miranda.
No, it was the guy who you didn't want to beat.
Oh yeah, no, we're not saying that. we're not going into that. Yeah. There's plenty of them, but we're not going into that one. Sorry. But yeah, so I just have such a different, like, hearing you say those stats on those. I mean, that's something. You saying that is not something that would ever even cross my mind to research. I mean, it was super cool to hear, but you were saying it, I'm like, I wouldn't even know what generation I'll fall into, you know? Because I know in my era, or our time together racing World Cups, I was always the oldest guy. I think I came in kind of late, and then I missed U23, and I was
U23 didn't exist back then.
I know, but, well, so I say that because there's U23 now, obviously. But I remember Mike King back in the day. Oh, you're too old for U23. I'm like, what is U23? It was still an area to like categorize.
Oh, for USA Cycling would categorize
Cycling,
it.
being in that support side, and because I was winning AA races at the time when I came in, but I was just kind of a late bloomer to all that. So I always look at that as I was just the older dude. I was always the old guy of the group. Even if I was 23, you were 16, 17.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I was older there. So I hear you say those stats. I'm like, dude, that's just, I mean, viewing BMX, you view it in such a different light than I view it.
Yeah,
you know?
one, I think it's two things. One, I think it's because that was my class, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up, and growing up, it was me, Corbin, and Tori racing all the time in America. And
See, I don't have anybody like that.
We'd go to the Worlds, and you'd throw in Twan and Sylvan and the rest of them. And then when we were junior elite and we started racing, the Worlds in Adelaide and UCI races in America, Sam Willoughby was coming over, Joris was coming over, Yelly Van Gorkum was coming over. So like there was junior elite races that when we were juniors that literally you could have copy and pasted to an elite main 3-4 years later.
Yeah.
And so I'm really like in tune with that because those were all the guys I grew up with.
Yeah.
but then
That makes sense because I didn't have any young dudes I grew up racing.
Yeah.
Like I was just not exposed to it.
Right.
So that really makes sense.
And then,
here.
like-
you watched all those dudes come up. You all did it together, which is
right.
I only think of you and Corbin. You
Yeah.
know, when you say that, it's like, oh yeah, him and Corbin.
Well, and
race
then
forever.
you just did that sprint challenge with KJ. He's our age.
Yeah.
Right, Tommy
yeah.
Zula, pump track world champion. He's our age.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
our class growing up was so hard, and that's where I always tell kids now when they tell me they got a hard class, I'm like, that's a good thing
Yeah.
because you're all making each other better.
Right.
And if you don't have that competition, then you're not all going to grow and get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
But I also think I know that stuff too because the championships I didn't win, I know exactly who won them, and I was mad because I wanted to win them, right? So I can.
Yeah.
And then it also makes me mad because like I'll try to remember something I actually want to remember, like an
Yeah.
important date or an appointment or something, or like I need to get eggs and milk at the grocery store and I'll forget something, but I could tell you what gate I was in at some random race in
Yeah.
2007.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do that with Kelsey all the time. I was like, you can't remember what I asked you last night, but you can remember this random race
Right.
in Mississippi when you were a kid, you know?
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is like that.
That's funny.
I wish we could like delete some of that memory, like a computer, like delete some of that from your hard drive
Yeah,
just to make
save some of
room
the
for
good
some new
ones.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like oh sorry, go ahead.
Someone wants advice on something. What's
$5.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
They want to ask Connor, what's the best way to gain confidence and strength in side-by-side racing?
That's a great question. So if you couldn't hear the question, it was what's the best way to gain confidence in side-by-side racing? And I think the best way to do that is to practice it, right? So one thing that a lot of people make the mistake of is they practice by themselves. And they always try to do everything by themselves. But you don't ever race by yourself. So the best way to do that is to find people that are close in speed to you and that you feel comfortable riding with and ride with them. Follow them, have them follow you, go side by side with them. And if you do that more, it just becomes something that you're normal or used to, and it becomes your normal. And so then when you're in that position in a race, it may not be as nerve-wracking because you've been doing it a bunch in practice.
Feels familiar.
It feels familiar. And that's one thing that I always, really focused on is when I practice, I wanted to practice with people, next to people in the gate. I wanted to pass people in turns and things like that. That way when you get to the race, it's just another Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do something different. And I think that's something that any good coach is going to push. And I think that's something that anybody who wants to improve their racing should do is do practice races. Turn 1 to turn 3.
Yeah.
Riding with people. And you don't need to kill each other and take each other out, but, practice that racing.
To piggyback off that, it's being here all week in Rock Hill, a week early with the USA Cycling Program. You obviously know how divided the program was when we were all in it. Everybody's kind of doing their own program. Dude, we had multiple efforts of 6 to 8 dudes. One would be a full gate of pros doing half laps together. 6 dudes rolling through the first turn together, doing a half lap, 2, 3. And I was thinking exactly what Connor's talking about, getting out there. And this is the USA Cycling Program doing it. But we've never really seen it at that level. And I was sitting there, I'm sitting there holding an iPad, right? I'm like, man, it's fun. It's good finally seeing this happen. Like everyone working together. Everybody's got their own coaches, but when it's USA Cycling Week, it's like everybody needs to work together, and it's happening. So it's like it's cool to see that. And I think that's gonna change those riders coming up because they're doing exactly what you just said, getting used to riding. You're in the pack, like you're aware. You have that guy next to you, and you're comfortable with him being there because you've been doing this.
Yep.
6 times for the
you'll,
last
you'll
3 weeks.
appreciate this. So, everybody in the USA Cycling programs, you'd have 8 riders out there doing 8 different things. And I'll never forget on the lead up to Rio, Corbin's coach, Greg Romero, and my coach, Sean Dwight, they got together and they decided to have me and Corbin ride together. And we rode together from the time we were 8 years old, but we never once actually chose to ride together.
Yeah.
Right? And then we were at USA Cycling camps, traveling all over the world. We never did. But for that 1 month before the Olympics, we rode together. And I will never forget, and you'll appreciate this. If there's one dude you want to follow into a straightaway, it's him.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, perfect. Like, this is the best possible person
I don't
to
have
ride
to doubt
with.
anything.
Yes, I trust
Follow
him
this guy.
100%.
Right.
I almost felt like I had to hold up my end of the bargain a little bit. I'm like, I need to be perfect to ride with this guy because he's going to be perfect. So that was kind of funny.
So to go off your question earlier, if you don't watch, I know Corbin's a really quiet guy. We don't see him enough on social, but if you get a chance, go look up Corbin Sherraw. His riding is he's he's a rider I still to this day would love to just mimic his style of riding and
It
his
looks so effortless.
yeah, so effortless, very relaxed on the track, and it's just always. I mean, there's so much we can put so much movement in there in our riding, and it makes us look fast, right? And Corbin's just
It was always
and it's
hilarious.
just as fast, if not faster, you know.
It was always hilarious watching me and him because we were the same age and we could not have more opposite styles. Like I look like I'm trying to murder my
you're-
bicycle.
yeah, you're murdering the first jump, he's just
and he's just chilling, but we end up
yeah.
the exact same speed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I always laughed at that.
And what's our time looking at? Total time.
I don't know how to. I don't know. I don't know how to check that.
Someone comment how long is this video going on?
Well, I'm on it. Like I'm watching the live, but I can't see how long it's been.
Feel like
Any other questions?
Yeah, what other question
It's
we got?
been an hour and 9 minutes.
Okay, we'll start wrapping this up.
Do
Give
you want
us another.
Pete to come
What's that?
out? Do you want Pete to come out?
I'm thinking we might do. Does he
another one?
want to? He put on nice clothes and stuff.
Hey.
I'm thinking we might have to do it. The boys are gonna be. One of those dudes are gonna get on the podium. I know Isaac's itching for another one. I really want to do another one this weekend and do like a
Looks
recap.
like, I mean,
So
Isaac,
here-
based on the races so far this year, he's either going to win or he's going to go down.
Exactly. So we're either gonna talk about a win or talk about a crash.
We're either going to have a very happy
Knock on wood.
Isaac or a
We
very
don't-
sad Isaac.
Yeah.
Go for a very happy one.
Yeah.
Let's save it. Let's save it for another one. You got? Is there any other good questions for Connor?
Someone asked. I mean, there's a lot of like questions that I feel like aren't the best.
Okay.
Someone wants to know if you're going to be vlogging, doing more vlogging.
Yeah, I did one at the Grands last year. And then I should have done one this weekend, but I didn't bring my camera stuff. I was visiting family for the past week, so I was more concentrated on packing and getting ready for that.
Life.
But yeah, I definitely need to get back to doing some of that stuff. And I think maybe now it would be cool to do some more teaching type vlogs and do some stuff just talking about how to do certain skills
Yeah.
versus the race day vlogs.
Yeah. Okay. More skills, more how-tos. That's
Yeah,
good here.
stuff
We're
like
gonna,
that.
we're gonna have more how-to. We need to have more how-to videos because I know, obviously, I have a list of how-tos, but you can tell from this conversation, I view and teach. I view the process in so much of a different way, and I would teach it in so much of a different way. And I wish more people would share, like your position, share more of it. So, because I'm constantly referring to my YouTube channel and clinics and stuff. So having someone from a different perspective, even if it's like there's a how-to jumping video from both or Gates or whatever, and they're only going to learn from two people. That's what I want to see. I want to see more people getting on that bandwagon and showing some more how-tos.
Yeah,
for-
well, and
to
everybody
learn
explains it
ways.
different.
Right.
So and you might explain it your way, and an athlete might not totally understand it, and I might explain it one way, and they might not get it from me. Right. So giving people options of how to explain something is always going to be a good idea.
Yep.
That's one of the things when I'm coaching. I'm sure you too with the U.S. Cycling. It's figuring out how to explain what's going on in your head in a way that they understand it.
Yeah.
Because how it works in your head might not be the way that gets them to understand it.
That's one of my biggest drives now is what was said to me when I was in the program that I just couldn't comprehend or understand, and now that I have I've gotten so many answers to what I wondered back then, and I can deliver it. Maybe there's someone that needs to hear it how I wish it was delivered to me, so.
And there's one thing, I know we gotta wrap this up, but there's one thing that I've been trying to figure out how to get through to the younger guys. And I think this is something that every older person, not just athletes, but older persons have tried to get down. It's like understand the opportunities in front of you because you don't truly understand them until they're gone.
No, yeah.
Right? And it's like, how do you put that old experienced head on that young body?
Yeah.
Right? Imagine if you could go back to when you were first starting your pro career with everything that you know now.
I think about it all the time.
You know what I mean?
Not that I would change it because I might not be still doing this at my age.
It led you to how you are today.
Right, but at the same time, man, I would have had a different career. Looking back
and I just imagine Isaac will probably laugh in 10 years at how
the things
angry he
did,
was or
the
whatever.
things he's not going to listen to you,
Right.
listen that you told him.
Right, or
Yeah.
people give you this great advice on, hey, maybe you should do this or that, and you're just like you're young and you know everything, and it's like, how do you get that old head on the young body?
I know, it's wild.
Because that's one thing too. Looking at Joris, Joris has won more races than Isaac has raced.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
So when you look at it from that perspective, he's seen it all.
Yeah,
Right? So he just has a bigger library to pull from when he's figuring out what to do. And so it's like, you can't teach that.
Yeah.
That's just something you have to
It comes
get.
with experience. Yeah.
And you know, and if you are in the main event, you know, I trust Joris because he's been there so many
Yeah.
times, and you have to do it to get to that point.
Yeah. All right. It's race night. We're racing tomorrow. So, Connor, thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing. And yeah, we'll do another chat with Team Chase. Since we're all together, it's probably the only time this whole year we're all going to be together in one house. So, stay tuned. Let's do another one.
We can all
this
stay in your van at the
weekend.
Grands.
Yeah, I'll bring the camper. We got the camper now, so we'll just all bunk up. So, all right, guys, race day tomorrow. You know the vlog's coming from the last 2 weeks, so stay tuned from that. It just the goal is to finish that tonight, but I did this live podcast for you, so it'll be coming soon enough. Big race this weekend. See you guys soon enough. Peace. We're gonna be in. Are we done?
Yeah, you're done.
Oh, okay. That was cool.